Welcome to the Buddhist Society and welcome to Venerable Geshe Lhakdor. He has been an advisor to the Dalai Lama since 1989. He was his spiritual assistant. He's also the director of the Central Archive of His Holiness and a member of the advisory board of the Institute of Tibetan Classics in Montreal, Canada. And he is now director of the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives in Dharamsala. So we're really delighted and tremendously privileged to have Geshe Lhakdor with us tonight.
It is my great privilege to meet all of you, and thank you for the Society for hosting me in Tibet House, arranging all these talks that I did during the last 1 week in various places. Human beings by nature want happiness and peace. That has nothing to do with religion. If you believe in a particular religion, that is to further recognize and promote that fundamental longing for peace and happiness. Okay? Can you hear now? Yes. So Buddhism is important because technology will fail us. I'm not just making a remark with this thing, but in general, this is true. During one of His Holiness's visit to London, he was to give a public talk, and he was probably somewhere else, Manchester or somewhere else. So he had to catch a train and address a big public gathering, and the train was late by more than an hour. So as soon as His Holiness reached at the venue, he said, "Not my fault, technology." So here also it is similar. So the point I was making was that we need to first of all recognize this basic longing or yearning for peace, harmony and happiness. And I was saying that this has nothing to do with religion. We are born like that. Religions are to further promote and strengthen that basic longing for peace and happiness. And this point must be noted and understood because many a times we have this habit of talking big, the religious, philosophical issues, and forget the basic human longing. Because understanding the basic human nature is so important, because if you go to that basic human nature, then we all want happiness, we all do not want suffering. And there, at that level, there is no complicated philosophy. We are all same, east, west, north, south. Which one? Okay. Yeah, I really want my hands to be free, because if you read science, it took many, many years to make our hands free. We used to walk on 4 limbs like any other animals. We walked very hard to get erect and have the hands free. So I like my hands to be free. So what I was saying was, the most important thing is this basic sameness. On a greater scale, all sentient beings, as we say in Buddhism. And on a lesser scale, all human beings. Absolutely same in relation to your basic human emotions, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Now we are passing through a very crucial period of history where, because of the external trappings and the speed of science and technology and many artificial things coming in between, we have no time to sit down and reflect and understand our basic reality. So it is really, really important to get grounded and very strongly recognize this basic sameness so that we are able to live harmoniously from whichever country you come from, whatever color you are, we are all same. You can talk about other things like religion only if you have talking about this basic sameness. That unfortunate thing that we are seeing today is we are very fond of talking big things about which we have no idea, honestly speaking. We talk about Buddha, we talk about God. It's great, but honestly speaking, tell me how much we know about them. Have we met them? I'm not saying they are not good. Of course, very good, very important. But these are the fellows we are meeting all the time. I'm able to see you, you're able to see me. Now what is happening in today's world is, in the name of those that you have never seen, you don't hesitate to shoot and kill someone who is sitting right in front of you. This is the tragedy of this century. So let us get grounded. That is a kind of slogan that I want to make tonight. Let us get grounded. And as most of you are, I believe, Buddhists or even otherwise, whoever you are, let us have this most important, if you want to call it religion, the most important religion, the religion of humankind. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is these days working very hard to promote social, emotional, ethical learning, secular ethics in all the schools, universities. Because he is seeing that promotion of secular ethics as very urgent. And in many places he said, the buildings are getting taller and taller and taller, morality is getting lower and lower and lower. Everything, every article, material things that we have value, in fact very high value, very expensive, right? That is why we are working almost like a donkey, right? Running and running and running. Every material things have value. And what about human value? Human value is almost disappearing. And all these diverse, multifarious problems that we see in the world today is because of this eroding of human values, disappearance of human values. And what is that called human values? Human values are basic human spiritual values like loving kindness, compassion, patience, forgiveness, understanding, non-judgment, things like that. And these basic human values are like the water we drink, the air we breathe. They are necessities, not a luxury. Many of the metaphysical, philosophical points that we talk about religion is sometimes I feel it's a little bit like luxury. Without religion, as His Holiness says, not me saying alone, His Holiness Dalai Lama says, religion is your choice. You can survive without religion. But without loving kindness, without compassion, without justice, without harmony, we cannot survive. We cannot survive. So it's a question of life and death, honestly speaking. So we cannot just forget these fundamental human values and just rush to collect the material gadgets and things like that. It's a question of our survival. And today we are living in such a world where, as I already mentioned, that we are all busy, right? Busy, running, everybody running. flying or traveling through the tube, whatever, running, And everybody says, I'm very busy. It is important. It is not important to be busy. What is important is what are you busy about. So we need to really use this brain and to decide for oneself on what purposes you should run, when to run and when not to run. Not just running because everybody is running. That's number one. And second, the important point is, when everybody runs, if you ask the question, where everybody is running? I'm not trying to be negative, but this is, I think you will agree. We are running primarily for money, for material facilities, for job or work, whatever you say, basically you are saying money. Then if I keep on asking this question, why you want money, why you want job, why you want to be a professor, things like, if I keep on asking the question, why you want, then at the end of the day, you will say, because I want happiness. That is the ultimate answer. And if that is the ultimate answer, that you want happiness, then you also need to agree that the happiness that you want is not for one day, for 2 days. You want long-lasting happiness. So once you develop this understanding, and you have to develop this understanding, because I've asked this question to several people, several countries, and everybody says, yes, Geshe, I want long-lasting happiness. So you need to confirm this. And if you want that long-lasting happiness, then you need to honestly ask yourself again, from where do you think that you will get that long-lasting happiness? From money? Or other things for which we are spending most of our time running, and then at the same time you are saying, I want long-lasting happiness. My dear friend, you are running in the wrong direction. Gold is here. If gold is here, if you want gold, you go this side and get gold, not this side. So if you want long-lasting happiness, then it has to be found within, not from without, not from outside. It's okay, I understand that we need food, we need certain material facilities, for that we have to work, but at the same time, I'm not saying don't work, I'm not saying become lazy, but what I'm saying is, it's okay, but if you want long-lasting happiness, that has to come from within and not from outside. Now, how would you get that long-lasting happiness from within? What do I mean? Getting that long-lasting happiness from within your mind means your mind is your boss. It is this invisible, intangible, colorless, shapeless energy called mind which is dictating your life. I'm sure you will agree with me. It is not your body. It's the mind which is telling you what to do, what not to do, where to go, where not to go, whom to talk, whom not to talk. It is your mind. So obviously, from there you can conclude that your mind is your boss. Now that also leads to the understanding that if your mind is your boss, then your boss has to be good, right? Nobody wants to work under a dictatorial boss. In many countries, unfortunately, they are ruled by dictatorial people and they are helpless, they are suffering. But provided that they get real opportunity, freedom, nobody would like to work under such a dictator. So similarly, in our individual case also, you need to understand your boss is your mind, and your mind is unfortunately predominantly short-sighted, narrow-minded, stupid, selfish, ignorant. So therefore you are working under a boss which is short-sighted, stupid, narrow-minded, biased, selfish. So you can find the conclusion, how can you be happy? So it is here that the Buddhist teaching says, if you really want to have that long-lasting happiness, then you need to select a new boss. Your present boss is the negative emotions, anger, jealousy, negative computation, and 100,000 other negative emotions. Right? So if you really want to have that, not only material accumulation, but if you want that long-lasting happiness, it has to be cultivated from within, which means you must change your boss. Now dethrone the negative emotions, especially ignorance, attachment, and hatred. Dethrone all kinds of negative emotions, primarily these three called three poisons. And instead of then, enthrone the positive emotions. Primarily the bosses, which is wisdom, understanding the reality as it is, and the altruistic mind called bodhicitta, which talks about getting enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, supported by the ministers like loving kindness, compassion, and things like that. Then you can be happy. Otherwise, you can never be happy. And not only that, if you let these negative emotions control your mind, let these negative emotions run wild, then the end result is not only not getting happiness for many lives to come, even in this life, even in this world we are living today, we are, I think, passing through a very critical period. Now look at the state of the environment, the environmental degradation, the eco-crisis. Look at that. In almost all the big cities, air we breathe daily is polluted, full of viruses and germs and polluted. The water we drink is also not very reliable. Now we have to drink from bottled water. There was a time when water means free, pure, clean. From everywhere you drink water. This was true in Tibet. I'm sure it was true here also at a certain period of the time. And air, of course, is free and clean for everybody. Now, the intelligent human beings are not able to provide clean drinking water and clean air to breathe. I'm just pointing few things that we are experiencing today. There are many, many other things which made our life insecure, unhealthy, and things like that. So the crisis that we are facing today, social, economical, political crisis that we are facing today, even religious crisis that we are facing today, is not done by tigers and lions, believe me. Not even snakes, okay? It's done by the so-called intelligent human beings. I'm not saying we are not intelligent. We are intelligent, but either we don't use our intelligence or we use intelligence for superficial needs, superficial purposes, not for greater purposes. So therefore, the mind training or mindfulness means to be aware of the state that we are experiencing today, right now. Your personal life and life of the planet that we are living today. Is it everything okay? If everything is okay, then you don't need religion, you don't have to do anything. Just relax. But the problem is everything is not okay. The famous teacher Nagarjuna, he said, human beings are not well at all. Meaning, that human beings are not well at all because they are impermanent, because they are selfless, and because they are impure, and so forth. And therefore he says, until to the point you maintain mindfulness of this reality of your life, you can never have long-lasting happiness. So maintaining mindfulness or training your mind means being realistic. Mindfulness of the actual reality. We are not talking about just blind faith, exaggeration and fabrication that something was said by Buddha and something was said by some other teacher. So whether it is relevant or not relevant, sensible, not sensible, just have blind faith and follow it. We are not saying that. What the Buddha is saying is, you use your human intelligence and see the reality of your body. of your feeling, of your mind, of the rest of the phenomena. What is the reality? Understand that. And then you will realize that my life is impermanent. That doesn't mean only death, but it means changing. And changing for what? For good or for bad, what? Right? Then of course at the end of the day, all of us will die. We cannot just do away with that by not thinking about it. Sooner or later, reality will stare to your face. You cannot do that. So therefore, think about this. Is some people who have no understanding of Buddhism, they say, oh, Buddhism is a very pessimistic religion. It talks about suffering, death, things like that. No, Buddhism is a realistic religion. Buddhism is not here to, placate you, to make you happy just for today. Because Buddha was primarily concerned about how these suffering human beings, how these suffering sentient beings get long-lasting happiness. And if you want that long-lasting happiness, as we, I think, believed or confirmed, agreed, if that is what you want, then you need to see the reality as it is and live your life in accordance with the reality. Now what does that mean, in accordance with the reality? It means, reality means, in reality, we are all interconnected, interdependent. Nobody, no individual, no country can exist without depending on others. Right? Especially in today's world. We are so heavily dependent. Then we are so heavily dependent on the environment. The food that we eat comes from environment. The medicine that we eat comes from environment. Everything that we use comes from environment. Now without that understanding, if you keep on polluting the environment, how are you going to be healthy? It's not enough just to keep on inventing different kind of medicines and pills to pop in, as if that is the solution for everything. In ancient times, people, of course, used to get sick, but not so much right now. They don't have to pop so many pills as we are doing today. It's not healthy, right? So many of the problems that we are facing today are our human creations, unnecessary sufferings. And we can do away with that if we are able to understand the reality. Now, for example, if you understand another aspect of reality, like death. In the Buddhist practice, one of the most important practices is meditation on death. Every day, on a daily basis. And people might think, oh, this is horrible, don't talk about death. Death was a taboo subject for some time in many countries, right? That's fooling yourself. And then aging also. Birth also. Buddha said birth is suffering, aging is suffering, then in between sickness, and then death finally. Then many other sufferings are there. But to us ordinary people, is birth suffering? Many people don't accept that. They say, happy birthday. But whether it is happy birthday or suffering birthday, you can just see what was the first thing that child does after birth. Laughing or crying? Crying. The child is saying, I'm having problems. And Buddha recognized that. But I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm not saying don't celebrate birthday. You can celebrate birthday, but you need to understand the meaning. Then what about aging? Aging doesn't come when you are over 60. Aging comes from the very second moment of birth. And in fact, birth is the cause for suffering. Birth is the cause for aging. The only good thing with aging is it comes gradually and unnoticeably, like environmental degradation. So therefore we don't care, you see. I mean, if there is an onslaught of aging, for example, you are very nice looking, handsome looking young men, women, go to bed tonight, tomorrow wake up with wrinkles on the forehead, all the signs of elderly person, you will die of heart attack. Right? So the only good thing, I'm not saying good, the only good thing is it comes unnoticingly. So that also we need to know, that every day. That means not to frighten yourself, but to know, the life I have obtained today is precious human life. Not the life of another bird or animal or things like that. Life of a human being. So don't let this precious human life slip away like that, by eating, sleeping, and doing stupid things. And if you do that, then carrying this big head, big brain, then didn't serve the purpose. The purpose of having carried this big brain is to use this brain at least 5-10%. Although even Einstein said he was not able to use brain more than 5% or 6%. So what about us? We hardly used it. So many thinkers, they say, if you are able to use the full brain, there's no question about you are getting completely enlightened. So that also supports the Buddhist concept of possibilities of enlightenment. The brain scientists are saying that you can make miracles. So what I'm trying to say is use this brain, use this wonderful human intelligence to the positive side by understanding the way things are. So therefore I was talking about death. It's a very important meditation. And that was actually the first teaching that the Buddha gave, because the first teaching that the Buddha gave was the famous Four Noble Truths, out of which the first was truth of the suffering. When we taught the truth of the suffering, he taught that with 4 features. And the first feature was impermanence, which included death. And one of the last teachings that the Buddha gave was also on impermanence. He called his followers and said, even the so-called Buddha is passing, so this is time for you to just see the Buddha's body. He gave that teaching. Why this is so important? This is so important. And that's why Buddhist teachings, they say, you don't have to kill people, they will die. And look at us, our world leaders. Stockpiling arms, weapons of mass destruction. Doesn't like to hear impermanence. So, I'm not going to elaborate, but what I was saying was, if you properly meditate on one aspect of the reality of life, your life will be transformed. So I was citing this quotation from a Buddhist teacher who said, you don't have to kill people, they will die. Such a wonderful teaching. And if you are able to see everybody here, that they are going to die one day. One day, death is definite. Time of death is indefinite, unfortunately. It can come any time. Right? So if you have that very proper understanding of that, your life will be completely transformed, because now you know this person probably I'm meeting for the last time. I must be nice. I must support. I must help. I must smile. You see? Automatically that understanding will come. Then nobody has to teach you, practice mindfulness, practice meditation. Right? For example, if suddenly somebody says the house is on fire, then I don't have to tell you, be mindful, be meditate. You will automatically become mindful, automatically become meditative, and you will see what is the best way to jump from the window or run through the stairs, whatever. You will find that out. And if you don't spend time understanding the way things are, understanding the reality, you keep on listening to master after master. That's what I did, so I have that experience, okay? And there will be, I will not say there's no benefit, that there will be not much benefit. But if you understand one thing through your own thinking, let us say on death, there will be quantum leap in your practice. Because death is something that is related to you. If you talk about enlightenment, nirvana, all these bombastic things, it's comforting, and also think about heaven. You are not directly related to it. It's not going to make you much impact. But look at the eye of that fellow sitting next to you. They want happiness, do not want suffering. They are going to die, they are going to get sick. As soon as you think about that, you will develop some feeling. Wish to help others, develop compassion. So what I'm trying to say is, to make a long story short, I don't have much time, I don't want to bother you by just talking. You need to remember these things. Life is short. There are too many things to do. Because life is short, there are too many things to do. Not only there are too many things to do, you don't have to do everything that is there in the world. But do those things, especially depending upon your age. Do those things which is really crucial, really important. That is very, very important. And in order to convince this point, I'm going to tell you that if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, right? But you don't have to drink the whole ocean. This is important because today we are living in such a world where the thing called multitasking, etc. is so much emphasized, and then everybody sheepishly run around thinking, I need to do this, I need to do this, I've started calling modern people Angulimala. You know Angulimala? Angulimala? He was a murderer. He met a wrong teacher who said, you keep on killing people, and if you're able to kill 1,000 people, and every time you kill a person, cut his finger and thread it as a rosary around your neck, and then when you kill 1,000 people, you will get certain boon, you will get some supernatural power. So he already killed 999. And it is said that the Buddha knew that he is now looking after the last person. So on that day, because of Buddha's power, it is said he was not able to see anybody around, and Buddha intentionally appeared before him, walking a little bit before him at a distance. So he was very happy. Okay, I found the last person also with his, heavy, sweaty, swati, whatever, big stomach, whatever, with his, because he was a murderer, he was like ferocious, frightening, with his sword, running, started chasing the Buddha. Buddha was walking relaxed, very slowly, and this Angulimala was running. But somehow, because of the Buddha's power, he could not catch him. He said, don't you realize who is chasing you? I am the dreaded murderer Angulimala. Then Buddha stopped, looked back, smiled, and he said, come, I'm waiting for you. It is not me who is not stopping, it is you who is not stopping. And then he was completely shocked. Everybody used to get completely frightened by the mere sight of this person. Now here is somebody who has no trace of fear and smiling and calm. Then he said, who are you? Then Buddha started giving some teaching relevant to him. He was completely transformed, changed. He fell at his feet and cried, and he became a good practitioner later on. So my point is, it is not by running that you will get that long-lasting happiness. Yes, I understand your concerns. You will say, oh, Geshe-la, it's very easy for you to talk like that, but we are living in such a situation. Normally they give the example that when the giant wheel of the modern trend is moving, you just small cog in the wheel has to move helplessly. But I always tell people, don't call yourself helpless. Yes, you may be a tiny cog in the big wheel, but please come out. Don't cooperate this big wheel. The giant wheel will stop moving. I'm not saying it is easy. Nothing is easy. Even getting your food is not easy, right? You have to work very hard. But not being easy doesn't mean that you should stop doing these things. Because you want long-lasting happiness, that is 100% sure. That's 100% sure. So I strongly suggest you to write in beautiful letters, I want long-lasting happiness, to remind you. We tend to forget, right? Then the important thing that you need to do is reduce emotional regulation, as we call it. Reduce the intensity of the negative emotions. If you are a very angry person, think about it carefully, how much that anger has brought benefit to you, happiness to you, based on your own experience. Not just listening to Buddha or Buddhist teacher, but based on your own experience. How many times we flare out, how many times we got angry. So now, because you have that experience, now look back, review and see how much benefit you got by constantly getting angry. Right? I don't think you don't get much benefit. I don't think you get much benefit. I don't think there's anybody who says, I got very angry today or yesterday, so I really enjoyed the day. No? Right? And there's nobody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying that I will get angry today. Right? So we have some idea anger is not good. So similarly, many of these negative emotions, they are very elusive. They are very opportunistic. They are very cunning. They'll come to you as your supporter, as your friend. Okay, now that person is bullying you, so get angry. It will come as a defender. But if you look carefully, anger destroys your serenity. Anger makes you mad. By the way, what is the definition of being mad? Mad means you are unable to analyze what you are saying, what you are thinking, what you are doing. You just jump. You become mad. And nobody wants to become a mad person. Right? And anger increases your blood pressure. Anger makes you ugly. 100,000 drawbacks are there. And financially also very disruptive. I read a book published in America where the book says America loses billions of dollars in a year because of anger. Even in financial terms. Right? So therefore, we are not saying that you develop this mind training, meditation, so that you go to enlightenment and Buddhahood, which is not easy at all. But that will definitely make your life much, much happier, much, much settled. So therefore, developing positive emotions like loving kindness and compassion to help others, reducing the negative emotions which makes your life miserable, other people's life miserable, that is the job we need to do. Whether you want to be a Buddhist practitioner or not, it is up to you. But you certainly want happiness. And you have the right to have happiness. And that happiness will not come from your government, especially the long-lasting happiness. Right? There's a Tibetan Buddhist teacher who said, there is nobody who will catch hold of your hand and throw you into heaven. And similarly, there's nobody who will catch hold of your leg and drag you into hell. Your happiness and your suffering is in your hand. Do not cheat yourself. So therefore, whatever terms you use, mind training, awareness, heedfulness, conscientiousness, guarding alertness, meditation, the basic focus is to transform your mind. Remove the negative emotions. Negative emotions means the destructive emotions. Remove or lessen the destructive emotions and empower and strengthen and increase the positive emotions. That is the only way to have happiness in general, especially long-lasting happiness. If you really want that. If you don't want that, of course, choice is yours. So when we talk about doing this spiritual practice, it's not we are not asking you to do this for the sake of, strengthening the Buddhist population or Buddhist community. Those will come automatically if you do it. Right? Right? So therefore, the Buddha said, I have shown you the path to liberation. Liberation is up to you. We have to do it. There's no other choice. If there's a better choice, go for that. Instead of meditation on compassion and practice of compassion and loving kindness and things like that, if there is a better drug, medicine, we did produce this so-called smart pill, but now the reputation of that smart pill is already disappearing. And there is no process of undertaking a surgery in your brain and then make you happy, have long-lasting happiness. So unfortunately, so far, nothing has been found to make you experience their long-lasting happiness, apart from your own systematic practice. Right? So that is about mindfulness and meditation. Thank you very much. Some questions if you have? Yes. You need this mic.
We're going to get another mic.
Another mic, yeah, pakai duci.
Thank you. When you spoke earlier about the daily death meditation, daily, I was just curious what that would look like.
Well, it's basically reflecting the truth that in the whole history of humankind, we don't have a single example of a person who never died. Right? And not only that, in your very life, in my own life, how many people you know who died? Your brother, sister, acquaintances, I mean, many. Think about that. Why do you think you are exception? And that's the problem. That's the problem. And therefore the Buddhist teachings say, not only when you see other human beings dying, but even when you see the death of a fly, even when you see the death of a fly, you should say, I am also similar. My time may also come very soon. So that is not to unnecessarily frighten you, but to make you do the right thing, to do the practice. And how would it make you do the right thing? I'll tell you an example. I'll tell you a story. At the time of the Buddha, a mother and son came to see the Buddha. Young son came to see the Buddha. Then Buddha immediately pointed to the young son and said, you have only 1 year to live. After 1 year you are going to die. So he was shocked. Nobody wants to die. So he started weeping, hugging the mother. Anyway, they left. After 6 months, the mother and son again came back to see the Buddha. And then Buddha said, during the last 6 months since we saw each other, did you do anything destructive, negative? Then the young man said, how can I do anything destructive and negative? Because you told me I have only 1 year to live. That's the point. That's the point. And if you want me convince more, I can give many more examples. Right? So therefore, it's completely transformative. And then you will see the senselessness of people mistreating each other. Now that raises the question about meaning of human life, etc. And people start thinking, okay, if we are all going to die, then what is use of Buddhist practice? Then a lot of stories there. Some people think, oh, then I should commit suicide. Oh, then I should do everything that I like, drink and, nightclub and 100,000 other things. People start, this is only life, so have fun. And by this, people are really almost like thinking and saying that if you are able to live long life, then you are going to achieve many things. But if you don't live very long, then you are not going to achieve. That is stupid understanding. I'll tell you another story. This is interesting. This is old Indian story. There was a man who lived 1,000 years. And then during this course of his life, he married 100 women. So he has 100 wives and 100 children. Okay? So when he was 1,000 years old, the messenger of the Lord of the death came and said, man, you lived very long. It's your time to go. He said, yes, I know I lived very long. I'm 1,000 years old, but still I want to live. But I don't have to go. Take one of my sons. So the messenger of the Lord of the Death goes to the senior-most son and says, "Are you ready to go?" He said, No, I don't want to go. He kept on asking this question all the way down. Everybody said, "No, I don't want to go. This is our situation. I don't want to go. I don't want to go." Then finally the youngest one was 16 years old. He said, "Do you want to go?" He very happily said, "Yes, I want to go." He said, "How come your father don't want to go? All your elder sons don't want to go, and you are just so young." He said, "Yes, that is true, but after living so many years, if my father didn't get anything, my elder brothers didn't get anything, what do you think I'm going to get? There's no point living." So I'm not saying that there's no point living, but what I'm saying is, it is not just by living a long, long life that you are going to get something. It is by living a meaningful life, even 1 second, even 1 minute, even 1 month. So therefore in Buddhism we say, don't think that you do lead this kind of life and then one day you will be happy. No, be happy right now. How can you be happy right now? I have the formula. Once I was giving a public talk in Moscow, and then I was saying something like this. There was an elderly Russian lady sitting in the front line. She said, "Geshe-la, your teaching is very good, but I am an elderly Russian lady living alone, nobody is supporting me, how can I be happy?" I said, yes, I understand your problem, but you have both eyes intact. She said, yes. Both hands intact. Yes, both the legs intact. You should appreciate this. How many people are there who are without eye, without hand, without legs? So happiness comes by appreciating all these good things that you have right now. Use that, be happy. And when you're happy, all the negative emotions will also can be lessened. And then it is by doing useful things, getting engaged in doing good things, you are happy. Happiness is not like butterfly that you chase and chase. You know, in the case of butterfly, you chase and chase. The more you chase, the more it will run away. But if you just wait, it will alight on your finger or your hands. So happiness is living in the moment, appreciating all these good things you have. And we normally not happy because we don't appreciate what we have, but we keep on thinking, oh, how nice if I'm Bill Gates, you know, and get all the money. Yeah. Oh, my neighbor has a fancy car. I don't have it. You feel miserable. As I said right in the beginning, having material accumulation is not a sign of happiness. In fact, money, name, fame, these are means to happiness. They are not happiness. Happiness is an internal state of mind. It is mental satisfaction. So in order to get that long-lasting satisfaction and contentment, you need to appreciate what you have. Okay, I'll try to be brief now, sorry.
Anyone else?
Yeah, here. Okay.
Should I just speak up?
Yeah, that's right. I guess my question was, you mentioned focusing on the important things in life. I think you just answered that in a bit, but I mean, how do you decide what is important, and how do you find what that is?
What is important?
Yeah.
Nagarjuna, many of you have heard the name Nagarjuna. In one of his texts, he says, if you want to get established in your life, if you want to get settled in your life, which we all want, right? So normally what we say, I am married, I have children, I have nice house, so I am settled. Nagarjuna says no. So to prove this point, he says, if you want to get settled and established in your life, do those things which is beneficial to others. Help others. And all those activities which is not related to benefiting and helping others will not lead to your long-lasting happiness. So the main source of getting happiness, the most important thing in life is to help others, to benefit others. Just as you want others benefit you, similarly, as much as possible benefit others. Then you will get settled. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Okay?
Well, actually, that relates to. That relates to what I was going to say, because it was two related questions really. One is, how far do you think you can get, and what's the point? Secondly, how far do you think you can get chasing the long-lasting happiness, and what's the point if you don't have the bodhisattva motivation,
Exactly.
which was, but you've just answered it.
Yes.
But I was just interested at the less stress, at the stress on long-lasting personal happiness.
Exactly.
Without perhaps the bodhisattva motivation, the helping others, and how much.
So long-lasting happiness will come by developing these positive qualities like loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. You know. So when I say you want long-lasting happiness, I'm not saying you can get long-lasting happiness without bodhicitta, without love. No, I just said you want long-lasting happiness. And in order to get long-lasting happiness, you need to benefit others, as I said. So bodhicitta is a way of benefiting others. Loving kindness is a way of benefiting others. Compassion is a way of benefiting others. Yeah. Here, or there also.
Yes, I have a question. Going on what you said about contemplating death and dying.
Huh?
About contemplating death and dying, meditating.
Yeah.
Can you give us your views on euthanasia, terminating life? Because medical ethics and secular ethics allow for it. Can you tell us a bit about your thoughts?
No, now I need to make it very clear. I am not expert on everything, okay? And I don't have all the answers. So that I have to make it very clear. I should not pretend that I know everything. And but this euthanasia and mercy killing, very difficult to judge. On the one hand, there are cases where people just remain in coma, for example, for several months, or in some cases even years, and extremely expensive for the family and other things. So euthanasia or mercy killing seems to be, theoretically seems to be okay. But the problem is you don't know the mind of that person. So it's important to really judge, because in the case of Buddhism, the most important thing is the mind, because the mind could be in a calm, if not meditative, but at least calm and things like that, maybe thinking about something good, then it's really not good. And with the euthanasia also there are, like, again, two types. One is intentionally, pulling the oxygen, whatever, or intentionally kind of killing that person, which is even more dangerous. Another is simply not providing the life support. So again, there are different steps. So we need to be, as much as possible, judge carefully. Yeah.
Last question.
Thank you
very much. I wanted to ask, why is it that it is more easily possible to wallow in sadness and sorrow than it is to wallow in happiness? Can you comment something on the fleeting nature, perhaps, on happiness?
I never had an answer. I myself used to ask this question and never had an answer. But very recently, I was invited to give some teachings in Ladakh and Darjeeling, that areas. And I have this habit of buying all the interesting looking books that's available, especially in New Delhi. So luckily I bought a very interesting book written by, now I even forgot the title, So written by a Westerner, Buddhist practitioner, and also scientist. So there I found some answer, I think, which is really answering what we are asking. He says that as an ordinary human being, we are not produced to achieve enlightenment. It's very interesting observation. We are produced according to the law of evolution. We are produced like any other living thing, like trees, plants, human beings, dogs, whoever. We are the real purpose of the biological production or evolution is to pass on your gene to the next generation, to continue that species. We are produced not for enlightenment. And for that process of passing the gene, certain incentives has to be given. Right? Food, liking sex. These are incentives so that you carry on, this job of passing on your gene. So therefore we are more prone to this, interested in this kind of thing, temporary things, and not for like enlightenment and things like that. But he said, this does not mean to say that if you use this special human intelligence, you can't use it. You can use it for enlightenment also. Right? So something like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, your question?
The Buddha said
There,
that-
please.
The Buddha said there's suffering in the path to end
Not
suffering.
working?
Maybe you can hear me, but you will understand through here. The Buddha said there's suffering and there's a path to end suffering, but my question is, why is there so much suffering apart from an unseen law of karma? Is it the nature of the earth that we all just have to suffer?
This is, I think, exactly what I've already answered. So this temporary, like feeling of suffering, sadness, all these are part of evolution process. Right? For the evolution process, you have to have this almost like day and night kind of experience, happiness, suffering, emotional ups and downs. It's a part of the deal to continue that evolution process. There's no more than that answer, right? Yeah. And the other thing is, the so-called suffering is not necessarily suffering. It also depended upon how you see things. Many of the Buddhist masters, they used to say, when they hear the word suffering, they make a joke of it. Said, what? Suffering? What is this? Because they say, it's your perspective. The one thing that you call suffering from your perspective is not suffering to others. So therefore, these days I prefer using the word challenge than suffering. Challenge is important in life to learn experience, to grow, So similarly, suffering. In the Buddhist text, there is a line which says suffering is introduction to happiness. Right? So that's the part of the deal with the whole evolution process. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next one.